So in this chapter, we're going to be talking about a validation technique called the 5 whys. So basically, it's just why, How you just ask your customers why until you get to a solution. So if you remember the characteristics of a startup, startups focus on problems. So the 5 whys helps you validate that the problem is actually a real problem. Because a lot of people sit down and make up problems because they're like the problem may be personal to them, or they just don't really understand, or they have no first-hand experience, right, with the problem. So they don't actually really know what the deep root problem is. So how does it work? So basically just ask why until you can't anymore. Imagine like a small child. Like if you have been around small children, children who are learning about how the world works, they ask a lot of questions and they're very curious. And if they sometimes get into this habit of just being like, why, 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 why? And it's very, very annoying. They get you to this point where you're just like, I don't know, that's just the way it is, You don't want to be like annoying with it, but you want to kind of channel that kind of energy and that kind of curiosity. But as an adult, you're going to do it with empathy and caring, right? So let's see an example. Let's see how it works. So imagine your startup idea is something to do with fitness. You want to help people lose weight. You're deeply passionate about it. You may be like a gym bunny or a fitness person or a chef or something. You care about people and weight and food. Now, you might have been naturally slim your whole life, or maybe you've never been overweight, and you're trying to find out why people are overweight because you really want people to be healthy. So this is how your 5 whys could go. So you would start with your problem statement. So your customer will tell you a problem statement. So this is Lara, and Lara says, no matter what I do, I cannot seem to lose weight. That's a huge problem for her in her life. She wants to lose weight, but she can't seem to, and she's tried lots of different things. So you may start with, I completely understand trying to lose weight can be so frustrating. Why do you think losing weight is hard for you? And look at the way I phrased the question. There is a why in there, but I didn't just ask why. Like, you have to empathize with the customer. You understand that they're frustrated and feel their problems, but you still ask why. So, why do you think? Not why do I think, why do you think losing weight is hard for you? And that leads them into trying to like explain themselves and explain the solution. So, Lara may say something like, I know I should eat healthy, but with my life, it's impossible, right? So, you go a little bit further. You say why? And she's like, well, I tend to eat a lot of fast food and there just aren't a lot of healthy options at these places. And you may go, so why do you eat out so much? Like, don't make fun of me, but I never learned to cook. Um, and this is a problem. There are lots of people who don't know how to cook or are just bad at it or don't want to do it. So you may go a little bit deeper and you ask your third why and be like, lots of people don't know how to cook. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Why don't you try to learn? It could be a fun new hobby. And Lara may say something like, well, I'd have to look up recipes and then go grocery shopping. And I already work 10 hours a day. I definitely don't have time for that. I have kids and I have all this stuff in my life, my busy schedule. And that's an inroad for you. Like you start to understand what the real problem is. The problem isn't that Lara can't lose weight, it's that she's really busy and doesn't have the time to make the right choices and do the right things like cooking her meals at home and making sure that she's controlling what she's eating, right? So you empathize with her. You may say something like, wow, that's really rough. Would it help if someone delivered fresh ingredients and recipes to your house once a week? And this is the kind of thing that solves her problem, but it doesn't solve like if you just attack the weight loss problem, you wouldn't have had this great feedback. You now have an idea of something that can help Lara and you can pitch it to her, which is a great way to like plug your solution. And she may say something like, because this is her problem, she'll be like, that would be amazing. I'd be able to kill two birds with one stone, and I'd learn how to cook, and I'd lose weight doing it. That would be amazing. And then here you can actually plug in your solution and you can get one of your first users for when you start building. So you can say something like, awesome, I'm actually working on a service that will do just that. Would you like to be one of our beta testers? And that's how you even get in your first few customers, and you've figured out a problem that people may want to pay to solve, like And if you do this enough, you don't just do it with one person, with 3 people, do it with as many people you can get your hands on. I would recommend 25 to 50 people. That's your homework, actually. I would recommend 25 to 50 people because then you start to get an average, right? So there are a couple of things when you're doing your 5 whys to look out for. So the first one is different people will have different answers. The trick here is to find out the most common answers and which field you want to play in. So, for example, with Lara, we could have said, oh, we'll deliver fresh ingredients, but we could have said we'll deliver the already prepared meals, right? And different people will have different answers. So it would be easy to go rambling off on trying to create 100 different solutions. But the reason you talk to a lot of people is to see if there are any commonalities that will solve the problem for a lot of people, right? So the question doesn't always have to be why. So this is something that people get wrong with the 5 whys. They think they just have to be like, why, 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 why. No, it doesn't always have to be why. Why is symbolic. It just has to be exploratory. You're trying to get them to open up, to reveal stuff about themselves to you. You're trying to encourage them to be vulnerable. So you really don't want to ask why all the time. Sometimes it could be what or where or when or how or just some other way to lead them to the next step of the problem, right? So the next thing you have to be very, very mindful of is show empathy. You are not here to judge people and their problems. You have to be kind when you're doing your 5 whys. Think of something like the weight loss example, and I use that specifically to demonstrate empathy because if you've never tried to lose weight, now I always have problems with my weight. I've been dieting since I was like 10 years old. It's a very sore subject for a lot of people. It's a very sore subject for me, and I don't like people judging me about it. So if you're trying to ask me questions about why I can't lose weight and you're judging me and you're making assumptions or saying things like, well, you should just eat more vegetables, and I'm trying to explain to you that vegetables don't taste good to me, then I'm just going to shut down and stop answering your question, and you lose valuable feedback, right? So the last thing is 5 is a guideline, not a rule. 5 is a good number where you start to get to a real problem, but keep going if you have to. Keep going if you need to. You may also end up with 3 and get the answer that you need. You may get to a tangible problem that you can solve. It's really not a rule, it's just a guideline. So make sure that you're getting robust feedback and information that can help you flesh out your idea and make it real. All right, we've come to the end of Module 1. There's a little bit of homework for you, and we will be going over that in the next video.